I to know that despite the pain, the people most important to her will give back everything in return. That we care for her, that I care for her. Do you think I'll be able to come over today? Mr. Irwood, also known as Carrie's father. I don't see why that would be a problem, though like I said, I don't know I'm not sure Carrie would will react. Her reaction right now isn't really stable. All that matters to me is how she is feeling, which I know is so far from good. I want to reach out to her. Alright, I'll be over shortly. Goodbye. In a rush, I hang up on Mr. Irwood without giving him a chance to respond. Wasting time isn't an option. I need to get there as soon as possible. Heading downstairs, my footsteps resonate throughout the.
Imagine there's just like an ending like CR where she hangs herself.
Oh my gosh, dude. Heading downstairs, my footsteps resonate throughout the house, causing my sister to give me a bewildered look. Luckily enough, she doesn't give me an issue and goes back to using her phone. Passing through the hall, the door opens and revealing my parents home from their trip. I don't have time to make conversation, so I slip past them at the doorway, both of them giving me some bewildered look at my sister did in the process. Where are you off to, son? I'm going to a girl's house. Upon hearing that, my father contorts his face in surprise, finally leaving me with a proud smile as I set off to make my way down the street. All I should focus on is being there for Carrie, and a thought which drives me as I race my way to her house. Darkness fills the path towards Carrie's house. Spare the street lamp which guided me course towards it. A long winding and a winding one, in a metamorphical sense that is. This week has provided me with a countless ups, but I guess it's time to face the downs. Knowing that Carrie is hurting makes me feel bad myself, something which I've told myself over and over. My emotional attachment to her is a big thought. Carrie's street is short, so it's easy enough to find her house. It saves me the time of looking for it in the darkness of the ever looming night. The adrenaline within me rushes me further and towards the door of her house. It's not necessary, but I feel that controlling these emotions would be a bad thing. On top of the difficulty to do so. It's Carrie's feelings I want to priorito- priorito- pri- prioritize right now. Yeah, I knew that.
No, you
Prioritize.
didn't.
Yes, I did, Noah. Shut up. Getting here as soon as possible helps me to do that. My knuckles face the wood of the door repeatedly as I eagerly wait for an answer. I can see the movement from inside that
I
of
can see
Carrie's.
movement.
Shut up! I can barely read. Okay, I've been reading for an hour and 30 minutes. Let me be. That of Carrie's father as he soon comes to open the door. Good evening, Suru. I won't keep you stopped for long. Carrie's room is upstairs and to the right. Keeping things brief, Mr. Irwood gives me the directions to Carrie's room, despite me already knowing them. I don't know how well it would sit with him if I told him that I've already been up there, so I just thank him anyway. Thank you. Sparing no time, I rush up the stairs as carefully as I can, wearing socks and trying to race up there would be really regrettable if I were to slip. Though being too cautious also seems like a bad idea as well. The only thing I should be caring about is Carrie. Following the same path I took only days ago, Carrie's bedroom door stands before me, the gateway to be a lonely, downcast girl. Know it, knocking on it gently, my heart continues to pound in my chest as I wait for a response. Nothing. Out of instinct, I grasp the doorknob, but despite my best effort, it won't budge. She must have locked it. I kind of expected it, but it doesn't change the fact that she's locked herself away from the outside world, even her own father. Slow movements raise from my arm once again as I realize what I have to do. For all of Carrie's concern, it could have been her father knocking on the door. Hopefully, hearing me as well can show her how concerned we both are. As I tap against the door once more, I make my call out to her. Carrie, it's me. Huh? A response. A small, yet welcome one.
What are you doing here?
Her voice is filled with nervousness. Over the time that we've spent together, I've noticed that she found it easier to speak to me as each day went on. Now, though, she sounds just as she did when I first met her. I came to talk to you. I want you to come to school tomorrow, Carrie. I abruptly managed to stop myself from adding, I've missed you, even though it's the absolute truth. Spending time without her was different, even though that's all I knew before. I know you're not feeling good, but knowing you're like this, it makes me sad. I told you we're friends, right? I want to support you.
I'm sorry. I know.
Sorry, I know.
You're important to me.
You're important to me, Carrie says. You don't have to apologize. I just wanted to be there for you.
I'm not sure if I'll feel like going. It's complicated.
Only a thin piece of wood separates us from as we both stand in silence. A wall between us, between our feelings. I'm not sure what I should do. I'll be waiting for you tomorrow, Carrie, where we normally meet. Good night, Carrie. On a whim, I turned myself away from her. It's a painful thing to do, but my actions speak louder than words. Trying to break into her room wouldn't have done either of us any good. But telling her I'll wait no matter what might let her hear my feelings in a different way. I'm not sure if she responded, though she doesn't come out after me. It's an odd thing for me to be so familiarized with the house after only knowing her for a week, but that thought doesn't stick with me on the trip down the stairs. So how did it go? Mr. Erdwood said. Her father stands in the hallway, showing me that he is waiting for me the entire time. I don't know. We'll just have to see. They are plain and simple words, yet they hurt so much. Having this uncertainty between us all makes me feel a bit more bitter than anything. It's okay. Carrie is usually quite stubborn. Would you be staying for dinner? I know a meal with a 37-year-old Welsh guy isn't exactly on everyone's bucket list, but it would be impolite for me not to offer. Thank you, but my parents had brought back something for the family just as I was leaving. I'm sure it'll be quite a ruckus when I get back. It's alright. I hope you enjoy your evening, Subaru. Thank you for speaking to her. It's okay. It was something I wanted to do. I'll be off then. Goodbye. Carrie's father sees me off with a wave as I walk out of the Irwood household. Thinking about it now, his words don't make much sense to me. Describing Carrie's as stubborn is definitely a contrast to what I know as her. In fact, I would describe her as pretty compliant. I guess things are different when you're a parent. Maybe it's just how Carrie acts towards me.
Spray on your hand. Now.
At least I hope it
I was
is.
watching a video on how to stop sweating hands when you're gaming, and I saw some guy put some body spray on his hands.
Yikes. I don't
And
sweat
I'm
while
not
I
gonna touch
game.
my keyboard like I do, dude. I freaking hate it. I think it's because I wash my hands a lot, and my hands just get sweaty.
Yeah. I just calm down. I take my cup of confidence. Here, I need another cup of confidence.
That sounds so weird.
Yeah, bro.
Hmm.
So, you know when you texted me that you might not go?
Hmm.
was literally so my dad. So we were at IHOP so we can eat breakfast, and my dad he asked, "How many of your friends are going to the wedding again?" I said only one,
Okay.
and then right when I said that,
You got the message.
We're gonna mute ourselves.
yeah,
They can't hear me.
Trash.
The morning sunlight blinds my eye
Pissed
on my walk towards school.
What?
More importantly, towards my typical
I turned it off.
Raven.
You were listening to it?
I don't know what that
You want me
says.
to turn it back on?
With Carrie.
It was on your ass, dude.
As I get closer and closer,
You
I
do it
dote
yourself, you're
upon
right there.
what Carrie meant to me, my relationship
See,
with
I'm at
her.
a hotel,
It's a
and I just
strange
took
thing
shower.
to think about, but as time goes on, things will start
Let
to
me
make
see
more
this.
sense to me. As the usual corner of the
Huh?
street enters my vision, the shy,
Dirty.
braided girl isn't there. It would be wrong to say that I didn't expect this,
I think I muted Noah.
but
I'm
part of
guessing.
me looked
How do I unmute him?
forward to
I-
seeing her adorable aura
Oh.
shimmer in the sunlight. I muted myself.
Oh, I think he muted himself.
Yeah, I did.
Muted himself.
Looking at my watch, it's still a bit early. Even if it was late, I would still wait for her. Being late to school doesn't concern me now. Cars pass by, one after another, as the neighborhood starts to get into motion. Everyone on their way to work or to drop their kids off to school. It's the usual sort of thing for a weekday. Having mine be different yesterday really showed me how much I enjoyed the mornings before. Going to school to be able to see her. Every day of my life before had been absent of her, but meeting her really showed me how much of a wonderful person she really is. It's a shame it took a while for her to be able to show it to someone. The clock continues to circle around and around on my watch, similar to the thoughts in my mind, constantly moving but never really going anywhere. 7:30 soon passes without a sign of Carrie. When agreeing to meet with her, I would probably embrace the experience of walking down the road around this time to see her waiting for me with a mild smile on her face. One which I can only assume which would quickly turn into a fluster as she would spot me approaching. None of that has happened though, or will happen. I can't imagine Carrie being that happy to see me. Anxiety grows within me, flowering from one of the most painful places for it to embed its thorns, my heart. It's been 5 minutes now that since the usual time we've agreed to meet, not particularly late by any standard, that is, any standard other than Carrie's. Every time we've agreed to meet somewhere, despite it only happening on a few occasions, Carrie was always early or on time, more so the prior. Maybe my words didn't reach her after all. Glancing up from my watch one last time, within my vision I could see a figure. Despite morning sunlight hindering my view, it's clear to see me that a girl is walking down the street towards me. As she approaches, I can make out her hair neatly braided, swaying the light autumn breeze. Her attire, all too familiar to me, consists of a tan sweater which embellishes her figure. The harp insignia on her chest is quickly covered by her arms as she adjusts the red ribbon beneath her neck, blushing slightly as she looks towards me. It's Carrie. The sight brings a smile to my face. It usually would, but this time means a lot more to me than any of those ever could. I managed to reach out to her. She came. Her expression, however, does not match mine. She still carries a troubled expression as she advances further down the street. If one thing is for sure, there's a lot of work to do before we can make things right, if that's even the right word. All the issues, all the problems that caused this situation are still here. Carrie is still upset.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Carrie. Part of me wants to ask how she's feeling, in spite of knowing the answer. I'm fine, she'll say. That's all it is. Fine. Fine is just a synonym for not good. A quick answer to
Cinnamon?
get people off your case. Carrie knows how concerned I
Cinnamon?
am. What?
You said cinnamon.
Synonym. Synonym.
You did say cinnamon.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You're like, fine, it's just a cinnamon.
Okay. Okay. This is a serious moment, right?
It's a game.
Shut up. It's more than a game.
Yeah, it's just a game, brother.
It's more than a game. It has Carrie in it.
I think I'm gonna eat ice cream to wake me up.
Okay. Carrie knows how concerned I am, but prying into her feelings now would not benefit either of us. Today I want her to feel normal, to experience a day of school like we usually would. Upsetting her might get by getting into the subject of her parents would just make my efforts all for naught. Instead, I opt to just usher her along with me to begin our day of school. I think we should get going. We're going to be late otherwise.
Okay.
Okay, she says. I expected her to apologize for being late, but it doesn't really matter to me. Carrie and I begin our slow walk to school, despite having the clock working against us, but we're not in any rush. Ooh, scene is changing. Dusk shimmers in the air sporadically throughout the classroom, giving the day a sense of warmth as the autumn sunlight shines through the windows. All too much of a contrast with the bitter cold of the morning, leaving me with a feeling of unease as the issues with Carrie still linger around my mind. Having left her not too long ago to get to class, we separated on our sour note. Neither of us saying anything, but our feelings ever so similar, ones of sorrow and general awkwardness. Getting her to come to school was one thing,
When's
but
your sadness?
okay, be quiet. It's a serious moment. But for her to open
You're
up
fast.
to me
Just
again
a game.
I'm not with you. It's not serious.
will be a completely different challenge. If I am going to make this day work, one way or another, I'll have to force her to talk to me, no matter how inconsiderate that sounds. Moving my body backwards, I stretch to elevate the pain in my shoulders. Today is going to be long, but I've gotten through lessons before just thinking about Carrie. Thing is, there's a lot more to think about now, including my feelings. The chimes of the school bell jolt me up from the slumped position of my chair. It's lunchtime, so getting outside as soon as possible is a priority. I want to meet Carrie outside her class for once. Springing up, I grab my bag and I swiftly push my items into it in a disordered manner. These are things I have no time to be concerned about. I managed to be one of the first people out of the class, but it's expected that those who sit near the front will always have the upper hand. Carrie's class isn't much of a distance away. It seems that their class is still inside. Everyone in our year group is on the same corridor, so it's unsurprising to find myself joining the usual crowds who wait outside the other classes for their friends to come out. One by one, people flock out of the classroom. The entire event is quite a scene, as it's already been about 5 minutes since the lunch bell rang. Just how important was their lesson? In time, the sight of Carrie greets my eyes once again. She still holds the same expressionless appearance she's had this morning. It hurts to see. Hey, Carrie, shall we go have lunch together? I didn't say, hey, Siri. I said, hey, Carrie. No, we cannot have lunch together. Okay.
Well,
Hey.
how do you know it's Carrie, huh? What if it is Siri?
She pronounced it in the beginning of the game. Noah.
Well, I didn't know.
I have to pee.
You
Go
didn't
pee,
even say
dude.
that loud, but
Need
okay.
to
I
catch
think
up
I
with some
don't.
work.
Sorry, I need to catch up with some work. Oh my gosh, she actually rejected me. Oh my god.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Sorry, I don't understand.
I'm going to copy a friend? I thought I was your only friend. As soon as I opened my mouth, Carrie seemed to go into a state of shock. Her words sound untruthful, as if she's forced out the first excuse she could think of. As depressing as it is, the reality is that I'm the only person she speaks to in their school. She wouldn't have the audacity to copy off someone within their class. If she's not ready to speak, that's fine. The entire action itself going back on what I previously decided upon earlier. Forcing her to speak to me would probably send her into another state of shock. Ah, I forgot. Alright, Carrie. I turn around, leaving Carrie behind me as I join the students from her class heading towards the cafeteria. Whether Carrie wanted me to object or not, I'm unsure. However, she won't be able to get away from me this easily. Letting our friendship dissipate like this isn't something I want to allow. I find myself sitting in the cafeteria, clutching a sandwich in my hand.
And
A little earlier, the guy sitting in front of me.
sandwich with your head.
Okay, stop.
That's not physically impossible.
Okay. The guy sitting in front of me.
Use a can with your mouth.
Got into a fight with one of the younger students over who'd
Holding,
get the last
holding
beef
a sandwich in
sandwich.
his head and holding a sandwich.
Stop.
Holding a brain in his hand.
I'm not really sure why these things are so popular. You enjoying that sandwich? You better be. I was wounded pretty bad back there. He didn't even touch you. Can't you just let me pretend for a minute? School is pretty boring, man. To be honest, he is right. Having to sit here without Carrie is quite agonizing, a distressful experience, putting my entire state of mind into a flurry. Even though yesterday I sat alone in class, being here with this guy isn't much better at all. Are you listening, mate? Sorry,
Don't say it like that ever again.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat yourself? I was saying, what if they introduced lamb into the school sandwiches? There's plenty of sheep in Wales, aren't there? I wouldn't know. I've never been. I'm not even Welsh. Neither have I, man. It's just a thought, you know? It seems this guy is pretty invested in sandwiches. The bell rings to signal the end of lunch, causing me to feel more depressed as I know I have to face afternoon lessons. Whilst listening to the mundane talk of my classmate, I decided to try again with Carrie. The idea is to walk her home, pretty bold in itself, but I know for a fact she's not going to be compliant. Dragging her out by my hand is one option, although the action seems really dodgy and disrespectful to her. In a way, it might show her how much effort I'll put into being there to support her. What could go wrong? Classroom is filled with a uniform aura of apathy as it slowly drags on towards the final few minutes. Thinking back to on my idea from earlier, I need to find a way to be able to get out before Carrie. It can't be guaranteed that her class will get out late again, so I really don't want to miss her. Raising my hand, I eagerly wait for the teacher to notice. Asking to be excused for the restroom is undoubtedly the best way to get to be the first one out of the class. There's about 5 minutes until the lesson ends, so there shouldn't really be a problem. Yes, Subaru? Excuse me, miss. May I please be excused for a restroom break? Go ahead, Subaru.
Go ahead,
It's... Go ahead, brother. Oh my gosh. Okay. It seems the teacher herself is quite apathetic towards her own lesson, sending me off in a tired and indifferent manner. I leave the classroom behind me, some classmates looking shocked after realizing my plan to get out of class before them. Turning down the corridor, I walk slowly towards Carrie's classroom. This time, she's not getting away so easily. The bell rings to officially end everyone's school day. I've been waiting here for a few minutes, so in order to use up some time, bought myself a drink. As people begin to walk down the corridor, I toss my can in the bin and continue to wait for Carrie's class to come through the doors. Surprisingly, this time Carrie is one of the first people to get out of her class. Perhaps she wanted to prevent a repetition of the events of lunch, getting out early so she could avoid me. Why does she want to avoid me? We don't know. Unfortunately for her, though, as soon as the chance arises, I grab her by the hand and make my way down the corridor with her at a quick pace. Her trailing behind me with an extraordinary sense of embarrassment, ones which break new boundaries. She says.
Don't do that ever again.
Sorry.
You're so
Seriously,
bad at acting, dude.
What are you doing? I'm walking you home.
What?
What? Confused, Carrie continues to stumble over her words as I take her with me down the corridor. Despite her being able to let go of my hand, she knows no restraint as she allows herself to be taken with me.
She
As-
shows.
Please stop. As we move, I notice a few stares and smiles from various people from our year group. Even sounds of light-hearted laughter can be heard. Different to how Carrie was treated before, I can only assume that they find the events funny in a friendly manner.
Where are we going?
Where are we going? Your house. I told you I'm walking you home, didn't I? Saying that, both of us are almost running as we pace towards the school exit. Not a speed definable as walking, but I'm still taking her back to her house. Students move swiftly out of our way as we get outside and through the school gates onto the road, with the pair of us receiving some odd looks and giggles as we finally break from the school ground. I lit up my grip of Carrie's hand since the entire action still is embarrassing, more so the fact that running out of the school had caused us both to sweat lightly. I can trust Carrie not to run off now, so we both slow down into a brisk walk as I take her on the journey back to her house. So, did you manage to catch up with your work?
What are you talking
What
about?
are you talking about? She asks.
Oh,
That was I. A flustered Carrie walks behind me as she tries her best to let out her words. The sight causes me to laugh, knowing that I've seen through her lie. It's this sort of experience that I've longed for. You're pretty cute. Saying that, Carrie ramps up her levels of befuddlement, causing me to lose myself in her adorable trance. I only told her the truth.
what?
What? You really think so?
I'm
She
getting
says.
a boner now.
Same.
Okay,
What?
stop.
No. Whoa, wait, no. This I'm still recording. No, I'm not.
I'm just playing people. I'm not. I
I'm
was
okay
talking
with
about. I was
saying-
talking about.
I'm
talking
not.
about
I'm
Sans.
not.
Sans has a bones because he's made out of bones.
Yeah. Her face is ablaze with emotion as she looks towards me with a hard blush, filling with her hair as it winds around her fingers.
Thank you.
Thank you. She meekly clasps her arms as we continue walking down the road in a state close to silence, neither of us deciding to continue the conversation. The real fact is that Carrie still isn't feeling good inside. Trying to force her into a state of happiness would just make things worse. I'm fine with being able to come this far with her. Walking down a street lit up by the afternoon sun, this is something I've always wanted to do with Carrie. Being there for her, being with her, it brings my feelings for her into question. Scene changes. Our steps are in sync as the two of us walk side by side down a street which is now quite familiar to me. Accompanying Carrie on the way home may have seemed like a brash thing to do, the idea itself established rather hastily. However, being here with her after spending yesterday in a state of worry gives me a self of relief. Noah, shut up. The issues that caused this are still present, however, but showing Carrie that she doesn't have to go through it all alone is simply of a reason for my actions.
Not all. There's no all.
Shush. We found ourselves idling in front of her house, neither of us really wanting to start the traditional words of farewell. Carrie takes the lead, despite being rather reserved throughout the day.
Okay, I was about to correct you there.
Stop. Stop. We don't need corrections.
I was about to correct you there,
Where
bird.
am I? I
I
am.
just needed.
You're
I
on a
just
boat.
needed some time alone to think.
It's
It's been hard recently. It's alright, Carrie. Carrie is still bearing the weight of uncertainty as she faces the chance of having to leave everything and everyone she's known behind to move away. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Yeah. And from what her father had told me, the distance between her and what she cherishes would be quite extraordinary. So remember, Carrie, you have people who are there for you. Even if it's the two people she's likely to be leaving behind.
I know.
I know. You've been a great friend to me, Carrie says.
That's why
That's why
Sweet.
it's hard. Oh my gosh. With Carrie saying that, the door
That's
to
what
her
he
house
said.
opens wide despite neither of us reaching out for the handle. Standing before us is Carrie's father, sporting a smile which I can only describe as uneasy. Both of us know the situation Carrie is in, and both of us are trying our hardest to deal with it. I thought I heard someone speaking outside. Oh, Mr. Irwood. Come in, Subaru. You're more than welcome to stay for dinner. That's her dad. Eh? Mr. Irwood wastes no time trying to get me inside of his house. All I can assume is that he has something he wants to discuss with me. I can do more than guess what it is what he wants to talk about. The startled response coming straight from her. Carrie, still somehow shocked at her father's invitation, idles behind me as I step forward into her house. Are you coming inside, Carrie? Yes. It's strange that a man has to ask her own daughter if she's gonna enter their own house, but it's not something I would expect happening with Carrie. Her actions are quite adorable. Like her whole entire body. Dispelling that train of thought, I divert my attention back to reality, knowing that there's still a large uncertainty
Just gonna kill that guy
that
anyway, so I'm not
hangs
gonna turn it no.
over us. Ask Mr. Irwood, and I walk further through the hall. Carrie stands behind and speaks out to us. I need to put some things away upstairs. I'll come back down in a minute. Rushing off quickly up the stairs, Carrie leaves her father and I alone in the hallway. Well, the two of us still can go through to the dining room. You want a beer? I know you're below the Japanese drinking age, but the laws are different in my house. Whoa. So we're getting beer
This dad
from.
is cool.
Yeah, this dad is. Well, I already knew he was cool ever since I first met him. You guys didn't meet him yet.
Okay, stop.
But yeah, he's cool. Yeah, sure, why not? What? Actually, what? Wait, I actually accepted? That's not something I do.
Stick to targets. Crossbow accuracy. Reload.
But whatever. Willingly accepting his offer, the two of us walk into the dining room,
You said
both of
offer,
us
okay.
knowing what's on the other's mind. Sitting down, both of us are reluctant to start the conversation. Carrie could come down at any moment. It would be pretty for her to hear us talking about her behind her back. Still, the thought is something I'll have to neglect. Avoiding this conversation isn't what I want to do. So, has she been any better? Mr. Irwo says she's still pretty upset. His voice has a certain firmness that seems unfitting for the discussion, as if the fact that Carrie's in emotional distress doesn't concern him. I think she likes you, you know. The thought of having to leave you doesn't sit well with her. What? Repeating my thoughts aloud, I stare blankly at Mr. Irwood, who sits in front of me with a smile. Did he just suggest Carrie likes me? In what way is he suggesting? I mean, that she's upset that she'd have to leave you. No, the part before that. That. Oh, I'm just suggesting that Carrie has a crush on you. Oh! Oh! Oh, dang.
You kind of knew that from the beginning.
Oh, dang. But still, it wasn't official. It wasn't official. I'm glad we established. I'm glad we established. Carrie likes me, and I like her back.
Just play the game. Just play the
Big
game.
facts. Big
Oh,
facts.
Do you love her better than Kashima?
What?
Do you love her better than Kashima?
No. Well, they're the same right now. I never met Carrie, but Carrie's like a little bit under Kashima. Kashima's always on top, but then Carrie is like a little bit under. Okay. She'd be a really good friend.
So this is not the end of the mission because you're gonna knock me out next mission, and then I'm gonna have to go back and do the last mission.
You know, there's times in a girl's life where they find someone they like. That's the way it is for everyone. Is this guy really telling me that his daughter fancies me? Hearing is quite a shock, especially from him, her own father. Thoughts rush through my head as I think over my relationship with Carrie. Carrie's actions towards me have never been quite confident. She's always seemed embarrassed or shy. But that's just how I thought she normally was. To think that she likes me? It's a strange thought, yet inside I can't deny the feeling of happiness, the feeling of wanting to be with her. You're a good kid. I've always thought that good kids deserve good news, Mr. Irwood said. Diverting my attention back to Mr. Irwood, he continues talking with a smile on his face. I've had some good talks with my solicitor. Legal stuff, right? He told me that I'm likely to win custody of Carrie.
Freaking rats.
Oh, let's go! My
Frickin'
wife
rats.
isn't known to
Wow.
have
Oh
the
my
best
God,
mental
these
health
rats are
record,
everywhere.
so
Like,
don't
I'm
feel
dying
too
from
down,
these
kid.
rats.
Carrie's going to stay. A wave of relief washes over me, knowing that Carrie doesn't have to face her burdens. It's a pleasing thought. Even more so that I know that how Carrie feels about me. I can't even describe what either of us would be feeling if we weren't separated. Have you told her yet? Not yet. I wanted to wait until the time was right. What does he mean? I think that telling her would be one of the first things he'll do. For days, Carrie has been awash with agony, finding herself disillusioned in reality as she faces her having her life torn apart by an uncontrollable force. It's odd. Can I ask you a favor for Can I ask you for a favor? What? Take my daughter out on a date. What? What? Okay. What? What?
Okay, he hasn't noticed yet, so I should knock him out.
What? That's exactly what I said. I knew he was gonna say that. Cause Subaru is just like me. It seems as if what is the only thing I can get around this guy to be so full of surprises. What's even more surprising is that Carrie's still talking to me with putting her stuff away. Me and her father have been talking about her for quite a while. Her father has just asked me to go on a date with her, yet she's conveniently upstairs completely unaware of what's going on. Why are you so adamant about me and Carrie? I reveal my thoughts to him. In no way do I not want to go out with Carrie. It's just strange her father is pushing us together. First, he tells me she likes me, and now he's trying to get me to take her out. Aren't fathers supposed to be reluctant to let a guy date their daughters, especially when they've only known each other for less than 2 weeks? It's just Carrie's never had many friends.
Uh-oh, let's go back.
To know that she's managed to make one one which she even likes. I don't want her to miss the opportunity. And hey, you're not a bad kid. I have no objections to you dating her. Hearing these words, they're strange. Thoughts which were never foreign, but a reality which certainly is new to me. I myself can't deny these feelings I've held for Carrie, even if they were abstract for most of the time. Now presented with this, I am assured of what those feelings were. Love. Love.
Forget it. I'm leaving.
What?
Knock you out. Leaving up here.
Oh, okay. The sound of footsteps resonate from the hallway, giving me and Mr. Irwood to a clean sign to change the direction of our conversation. So, Subaru, how was school? Oh, it's been great.
I'm back.
I'm back, Carrie says. Oh, Carrie, sit down. I'll get dinner prepared for us. Walking out of her room, Mr. Irwood leaves me with Carrie, the girl which drew out my inner feelings. Seeing her now sitting before me with a slight frown as she looks downwards at the table, fiddling with her braids,
Well,
it makes my
damn
heart
it.
race. Mr. Irwood soon comes back into the room carrying plates toppled with dinner. Carrie and I sit in silence, each of us taking occasional glances towards the other without being directly bothered by it. As Carrie's father places a place in front of me, the smell itself is enough to signal the quality of it. Last time his dinner was actually quite enjoyable, like Carrie said. It smells nice.
I knew you'd like his cooking.
I knew you'd like his cooking, Carrie says. Breaking the wall between us, Carrie finally speaks up. Her face, though, is still masked by sadness, possibly due to the events of what had happened the first time I tried her father's cooking. Unbeknownst,
Damn it.
unbeknownst, is that how you say it? Unbeknownst to her, though, it seems things are going to work out in the end. Mr. Irwood sits at his own seat, and the three of us tuck into our meals, in between conversations at least. So, how did you two meet anyway?
So
I don't
she's
think
staying?
you ever told me, Carrie.
Uh,
Joseph.
What?
So she's staying?
Yep,
Hmm.
and she likes me. And her father told me to go on a date with her.
That I heard. But I'm still gaming at the same time, so it's difficult, so... I'm
Okay,
just asking you just once in a while so I can refresh my memory.
okay, got you. Carrie's face is lit by embarrassment, both of us recalling the events of that day. It's funny how now to think that there's a chance event could bring us so close to each other. I glance at Carrie, signaling to her that she can explain everything to her father. It's a cruel thing to consider to do. It's a cruel thing to do considering her timidity, though watching her explain it is going to be cute.
well,
Well,
I dropped,
dropped my bag on the way to school.
My
Library card was left
behind.
behind and
He gave it back.
gave it back to me. Really? That's an odd way to meet someone. Mr. Irwood laughs at Carrie's face, increasingly reddens. There, of course, more details to it than that. If I hadn't decided to walk up to her in the cafeteria, then none of this would have happened. Carrie's face would seem
Aw, crap,
sorrowful,
so when I do that, it notices me.
making her remember how we met when she still thinks we might be leaving each other. Why hasn't he told her yet? The ongoing stream of time flows forward, the three of us having finished our meals, and the clock itself reflecting how long I've actually stayed here. I didn't even tell my family where I'd be, so they're probably going to be either angry or inquisitive. I doubt any of them would actually be worried about where I am. I think it's going to be a bit late. Yeah, I wouldn't want to keep you here for too long. It's been good to speak to you, Subaru. I think Carrie should walk you to the door. I'll say my goodbyes here. Eh? She says. Okay. Thanks for the meal, Mr. Irwood. My pleasure, Mr. Irwood says. Carrie, as startled as ever, trails after me as I walk out into the hallway of the Irwood residence, towards their front door. Our eyes locked. Carrie still flared up with embarrassment, and myself filled with a newfound sense of direction. Carrie, would you like to go somewhere with me tomorrow? After school, that is.
You want to
You want to
go
go somewhere? Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Okay.
Sure.
Damn it!
Carrie still seems rather embarrassed. It was only days ago that she herself invited me to town. Despite not calling it a date, I still find myself attaching a connotation to this upcoming trip with her. I don't plan on missing any opportunities with it. Anyway, I think I should get going. I'll see you at school tomorrow, Carrie. I try to make a swift exit, despite wanting to spend as much time with her as I can. Standing here with my heart pounding in my chest is sending my mind into a frenzy.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Stepping outside, I turn back to Carrie and give her a smile, one which thankfully she returns, knowing that there's a future for us somewhere. Makes me feel content. Carrie slowly shuts the door behind me as if I'm trying to savor our time together. Things for us has been quick, sure, but tomorrow I plan on changing the course of things for us both. To be finally there for Carrie, even if there is no longer constrained by the burden of depression, I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be hard to wait. Okay, bro, it's been 47 minutes for this video. Dude, that's so long. I'm gonna restart it.
I fell off and I'm dead. I found the